It's BRS360 Thursday, episode 7, and it's time to talk fish rooms. Fish rooms are one of the coolest things a reef tank owner can incorporate into their tanks, but there are challenges. Today we're gonna do it right, and right after, talk fish rooms with the president of one of the biggest reef clubs in the nation with Greg Carroll. All that's coming up. Hey, I'm Ryan, your host of BRStv. BRStv is all about fun past and tanks you can be proud of. The BRS360 is a full circle journey of taking everything that we've learned and transforming that into a 360-gallon reef tank. Today we're talking fish rooms. We have this room right behind the tank, which is going to house all the gear. Doing this will make the maintenance 20 times easier, meaning I am 20 times more likely to do it, allows for larger, different types of equipment, and removes the noise from the tank. Today I'm going to share where this has gone right and wrong for me in the past, as well as what we're going to do with this specific space. I also certainly hope the community chimes in with their own tips, because I know you have some good ones. I'm going to get right to the challenges that I've run into before, because the most important thing is we avoid those issues, starting with what we did on the BRS160, where the tank is on one side of the wall and the sump is on the other. There are a lot of things that I wish I had done different. First thing is the overflow and plumbing is super hard to work on where it is. We cut a window out in the wall for the plumbing and overflow, but any time that we need to remove it, fix a leak or adjust the plumbing inside the box, it's nearly impossible. It takes hours to disassemble everything, mostly because getting tools in there is so hard. The problem here is the window that we cut in the back can't be taller than the tank, or you'd see it from the front because we have a suspended hood. So if I could do it differently now, there are a few things I would have done. One, we could have plumbed through the bottom of the tank rather than the back. But outside of that, we could have simply cut the hole as tall and as low as possible without seeing it from the front, which we were pretty close to, but we built the wall before the tank was here and had to leave some room for error. If we had waited for the tank and stand, we could have cut it perfect. The other thing is to consider what really needs to be finished and what doesn't. We finished the window with drywall and paint so it looks nice on camera, but we lost a ½ inch of space versus just going with unfinished studs or studs covered in something like FRP. In this case, a ½ inch would make a difference. Relay that drywall and paint doesn't stand up to salt spray well, and in the beginning we misplaced the guard on the top of the overflow, so the salt spray deteriorated the paint and drywall. Anywhere salt spray is going to hit a surface, consider what is going to happen to that surface. In this case, FRP would have been a way better choice for lining the studs. The salt spray on the display side of the wall is also deteriorated from salt spray, and I would put some type of backsplash behind the tank or protective coating. Either wall color or black would look decent as long as it's finished properly. To make it look nice, we also finished or sheetrocked the plywood sump stand, and it did look nice day one, but now it's chipped because drywall isn't all that bump resistant and bumps are inevitable. Protecting the corner or finishing with FRP fiber reinforced plastic sheets available at big box hardware stores or ABS sheets would have been a better choice. Just to finish on the drywall talk, fish rooms can be high humidity rooms like a bathroom or shower, and they make special drywall for that. It's often green and says mold or moisture resistant. I'd say it's wise to use that or other material designed for moisture whenever possible. I'll also say our electrical planning was poor. We had plenty of outlets and 2 20-amp circuits, but they were way too far away from the equipment and made managing some electrical challenging. We also didn't design the electrical boards well. They look sweet day one with everything zip tied in place, but in the end, things need to get removed, cleaned, or replaced. It's a giant pain in the butt to keep maintained. There's a better way to do this, like Velcro straps, and I will reiterate, clean electrical is synonymous with safe. Managing humidity is another mistake that I've made in the past. I had a system that evaporated 6+ gallons a day in my basement, which amounted to a giant fish room, and I didn't properly account for the humidity. Net result was 80% humidity in the basement and bad on a variety of fronts. I eventually vented it out, but I didn't account for makeup air to replace what I was blowing out, and it caused all kinds of other issues. Eventually I solved it by putting lids on the tanks, which dramatically reduced the light penetration, but solved all other kinds of issues like humidity. Adding more light is just way easier than dealing with all the humidity. The last major fish room mistake that I've made in the past is floors. Carpet like we have near the 160 is a bad idea because it's hard to clean up spills. Bare cement is a bad idea because salt will deteriorate it. If possible, you want a floor drain so you can just push spills right down the drain. So that's a list of my most major mistakes I've made in the past. I'm going to try and avoid most of those with this build. It's time to go on site and see what we're dealing with this time. Okay, so this is it. The tank goes here and the sump goes in the room directly behind. Seems simple enough, but you're gonna see there's so many challenges to conquer here. But if you're like me, that's what makes this fun. The build out and planning stage is one of the favorite parts of setting up a new tank. For those of you who have been through a fish room build out before and got tips, share them with us all. I use tips from the comments all the time, and you're not just helping out me personally, but the entire BRStv community, and I always do my best to give credit to those ideas when we implement them. So starting with the front of the tank here, the first thing I needed to do is tile the floor. I spill and drip all the time. I just refuse to be cleaning up wet carpet all the time. I won't be able to tile as much as I'd like because it needs to be able to fit the room, but I'm gonna get about a foot around the tank. Luckily the tile that's already down here is just some stuff readily available at Home Depot, so it should go pretty quick. I haven't decided on lighting or hood yet. Chris Benner at Sticks and Stone Stands and I are still debating. If I go with a suspended hood or just a suspended LED modules, I'm going to protect the wall with some kind of backsplash, tile, FTP, black ABS or similar. It's one of those things where I'm curious what others do to protect their wall and paint from salt spray. However, I'm pretty certain that I'm going to use a complete hood in this case, and the hood will prevent those issues. Some of you also noticed that the cold air return is behind the tank. This obviously needs to get moved over to the side or the right. It's possible I could have just vented the stand properly to accommodate or move the tank out, but the returns are in the way on the other side of the wall, so they have to be moved as well. There's an outlet here with a circuit that gets minimal use for anything that needs power on the outside of the room. That's about all I need to do out here, so let's take a look at the inside of the fish room. Okay, I'd say I lucked out, and this room has both the main electrical box and drain stack with easy to access hot and cold water, but the reality is part of the reason that my wife and I got this house is because a room like this existed in it, and the tank was going somewhere near it or over it. That said, I'm going to need between 3 and 4 15 amp circuits to do what I want in here. In this case, that's going to be easy to do. I may not max all of them out, but I want to distribute the gear across as many of them as possible in case of accidental breaker trips. If at all possible, putting in a utility sink is a dream come true for everyone in the home. Having this sink here means that I can clean out the skimmer, reactors, and equipment right next to the sump. Rather than carrying around a slurry of rotten fish poop around the house, having hot water makes cleaning easier, but at least cold water means that we can make RODI and salt water right in the room. Even if you can't get full water to the area, you can probably run a 1/4 inch line through the ceiling pretty easy to get a source of RODI water into the room, so you can make salt water and fresh water in this room. Convenience is everything when you're planning for a long-term tank. Related to that, I'm also lucky the main drain stack is in the room, so I can put in a floor drain easy as well. Find the best place for the floor drain is generally dropping in a marble and seeing where it goes. If there's no clear slope, it's wise to have the contractor put in a skim coat so the water flows to the drain in the event of a leak or spill. So I'll be putting in a drain here. After also epoxy the floor, saltwater eats cement, which is obviously undesirable. I plan on using the standard garage floor epoxy with flake for traction, but this is another area where I'm curious what other reefers use to protect their cement floors and not make it ridiculously slippery. You can also see here where the framing and HVAC are in the way of where I want to cut a hole for the power head mounts and plumbing. It does look like this is going to be a load-bearing wall because there are thicker boards and they are doubled up in some areas, but I'm going to find out and get the supports moved so we can cut out an area for access to the back of the tank. Another issue is going to be humidity in this room, particularly because the electrical box is in here. I'll tell you up front that the sump will have a custom cover made for it, so evaporation should be pretty limited. However, I'm going to put in an exhaust fan and makeup vent just in case I need it. The fan would be activated by a humidistat and apex controller through the breakout box, likely a second one with an alarm just in case the fan stops working someday. If needed, a dehumidifier for this tiny room would also be very effective. Next consideration is where is the water bin, storage, and work surface going to go? I'll just say it, I can't fit all of that in this room, so something has to go elsewhere, and it's the salt storage bin. I'll show you where that's going in just a second. Before that, I need an area for storage and work surface for maintenance. I'm probably going to mount a cabinet up here and put in a small work surface, but what I'd really like is a large restaurant type sink, preferably 2 deep compartments with a drain board and large flexible hose for cleaning equipment. I'm looking either for marine grade version with 316 grade steel or coated in something to prevent rust. I haven't found it yet, but if I do, that type of sink will double as a work surface, and a sink is super easy to clean and drains into itself. I got a couple weeks to find one, but this is also something that can be added later pretty easy. As to the saltwater, I want to be able to make an entire bucket of saltwater at a time, so I'm looking for a 160-gallon tank from Norwesco. At 28 inches wide, it's one of the bigger options that fits through a standard doorway. My water changes will be done remotely from an Apex dose, so it doesn't have to be in the same room. So the utility room where the water softener and other equipment is works well. We should also talk finishing at this point. Should I drywall this room and make it look cleaner? I'm not 100% on this, but I think that I'm going to leave it unfinished just because it'll be easier to add other things later or fix inevitable mistakes. I'm a gear junkie and love making things look nice, so once everything is done, I might cover the walls with FRP or something similar, but I don't think I'll finish it with complete drywall. I am, however, curious what others would do in this case. I also need to deal with power, but that and cord management is going to be an entire episode to itself. In just 30 minutes at 12:30 today, Greg Carroll, president of one of the nation's largest reef clubs, is going to be joining us. His club is the founder of Reefapalooza shows. He recently moved and started building his own dream tank. I can tell you for sure that we're all going to learn something here, so see you there.